This podcast is brought to you by Open Door Mission, restoring hope in changing lives. OpenDoorMission.com.
Hello and welcome. It's another episode of the Wise Home Energy Show here on the Voice of Liberty with Jeff Flaherty.
Pure energy.
And here he is without further ado.
Hey, Bob. Thank you for having me back.
Always a pleasure.
It's fall already.
Yes, and at Wise Home Energy, you got to be rubbing your hands with anticipation.
Oh, my
Lots
goodness.
of folks with issues that have to be addressed.
Yeah, they're calling. They're wanting to get it. They're wanting to get it fixed, and this is a good time to want to get it fixed because if you wait until it's broken, then it becomes an emergency, and you don't want to do that.
No, be proactive.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to talk about some news stories. Well, maybe at least one. I mean, well, there's two. I saw some news stories recently that said the New York State independent service operators are saying we are going to have a production problem over the next 5 years. And so that's a problem, which is interesting because the utilities deliver the energy, the fuel to your home. But they don't produce it. They separated it some years ago, and these organizations are kind of controlled by these government entities, whether they be the Public Service Commission. And so I think we've taken some coal plants offline, and these coal plants are emergency at peak demand. So this is some of the problems with people that create policy, whereas myself as a business owner, if I make bad policy, I experience a really bad pain. I have immediate feedback that I made a bad decision, whereas sometimes policymakers and politicians, if they make a bad decision, they just move on to the next martini bar and they don't really get the payment and the pain of that bad decision.
In many cases, they don't have to move on to the next martini bar because that's where they are anyway.
That's right. You can stay right there, right? Yeah. And so I wish, the folks that maybe make the policy would listen to the people that really understand it. And I would think the New York State independent service operators, they have to forecast out and they see the demand coming. We have some hotter summers we see. And in the past, we used to call AC a luxury in these parts because you needed it down south, but maybe not up in New York. And now it's becoming more mainstream and more of a necessity. And so there's more AC and people are using more electric. So I wish they would look at that. And then locally, Ontario County has put out a warning saying we're going to have some problems. They have a lot of land and they have a lot of new builds coming. And they say with this new build, they've said no more gas. They're saying we have an infrastructure problem that we're not going to be able to keep up with the electric demand. So,
kind of makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? Because weren't they telling us, all we need is renewable energy, and that's going to make it cheap and plentiful, and it's going to fix all of our problems.
It really does. You would think, sometimes I feel like it's the lobbyists are selling something that somebody wants to sell. Hopefully a scientist comes aboard, but somewhere we need a guy who gets stuff done, or a lady who gets stuff done, who's on the ground, who says, wait a minute, this is going to take some time. This is going to take some other pieces of the puzzle to properly do this. And so come January 1st, you can't build a new built home and install gas. So these are, for every action, there's a reaction. And it's really just something that I wish we had more accountability amongst the policymakers and the politicians.
Doesn't that make you crazy? Because, not to venture into the world of politics here, but, when you get these faceless bureaucracies, these people are not elected.
Right.
But we have no input into their decisions. And so there's no means by which we can say, we're not going to vote for these people next time and make them accountable. It's not possible.
Right. And when the policymakers who are the politicians, I've heard stories from people I know that their decision-making process is not always what's best for the constituent. It's what's going to get me the vote next year. And that's a problem. And probably we need to go back to that mentality from a couple hundred years ago that the farmer left the farm to go serve for a couple years, and or some type of accountability, because you can make these bad decisions and you just have no pain whatsoever. So hopefully,
this is what the Europeans are finding out with the European Union over there. People in Brussels really don't care what's happening in Northamptonshire or in Belfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do about it? And they're trying to shake all that stuff off now. And these knots are not easy to untie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got to get to the boots on the ground, and what's good for the all politics is local, right? What makes sense for your particular region may be totally different. What makes sense for another region. So hopefully something changes on that front. I received a RG&E bill the other day, and normally I don't get bills in the mail unless I forgot to pay the bill. With all this online stuff, sometimes I forget to clock in and get it. But this one was an actual bill, and I opened it up, and it said it talked about daylight savings and that the day-night meter would change. And I'm reading it, and I was a little concerned because I've seen people say, oh, these new smart meters are day-night meters. And how a day-night meter works is you sign up for it, and that's what I was nervous about. Am I automatically enrolled? And so from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., you have one rate. I think it's going to be a higher rate than what you would normally pay. And then the off hours, you have a lower rate. So I heard about them years ago. I don't know if they were a thing in this area, but it was meant to do your laundry at night, do your dishes at night, and it spreads out the load. This is big for electricity because we can get these peaks and we can have rolling blackouts. So it's encouragement for people to that maybe if they're charging cars overnight or doing things like that, they could. And you can even set these smart hot water heaters to run overnight and ramp up and operate more time efficiently. But I was a little nervous because I thought, am I enrolled in this? I better not be, because I've been telling people these smart meters aren't doing that automatically. You have to enroll. So there was a phone number. I sort of wanted to call. I looked online. I couldn't see how the rates work. But then it said they had an app. And I'm like, hey, I like apps, I guess, because I can't really get in online. And so I went to download the app, and, it says punch in your account number, and it didn't really seem to work. So if anybody from RG&E or NYSEG wants to call Wise Home Energy and walk me through this,
call the radio station, because I kind of like to know too.
Yeah.
I didn't vote for any kind of day-night meter. I didn't see some box to check on my bill.
Well, you can call up and get on that, and so that was the good thing. And there was an 800 number, but I just find that the usage is so difficult to access. So when we go to do energy audits, we need the bill. And usually my communication says I need the bill. Well, now with this online stuff, they'll give you graphs, and people will send me, pictures of their graphs. And it's kind of like me saying, can you send me a picture of your dog? And then they send me a picture of the dog food. It's not really, it's close, but it's not quite relevant. And we need that graph, and we need the usage. And it seems like they made it harder and harder for the customer to get. And we're on our phones, which is a different platform than our computer. And so I wish they would clean it up. That's going to be one of my causes to kind of get these utilities to print this stuff on bills and make this stuff much easier, so that customers know what they're using. And
it's the mushroom theory. Yeah. Throw poop on them and keep them in the dark.
I thought you were implying the utilities were on mushrooms, Bob. I didn't know what we were talking about.
Well, that could be a distinct possibility. Okay. No, but I think it's more reasoned and more. Calculated in that.
It is.
It's no accident produced by hallucinogens.
It is. To shift gears, I went to a home the other day, and one of our auditors went to a home, and he had an uncomfortable second floor, and we got up there, and the attic is not air sealed, and it's got a bunch of insulation in it, and my rep shows me. He said the bath fan is unvented. It's hanging there. It was probably vented at one time, but it was a zip tie and it didn't hold. So he tells the client. Many clients don't go climb in the attic with him, and but he also noticed that the ridge vent wasn't cut. So what happens is the roofers put this ridge vent, which is a pre-made device that has a vent on the top of it. But there's one little install process that you have to do is you have to cut open the roof. You have to cut the sheathing open so that the air comes out.
So it's a decorative roof then.
This one apparently is. And so I think, I just don't know what happens ethically where the guy says or the lady says, well, I have to vent by code, so I'll put this up and everybody will think it's there. So kind of a costly thing to go remove that and cut it. And we ended up somebody must have just recently vented the bath vent because he said, well, I called this company and they came over and they said it's fine. And I said, well, here's our timestamp, geotagged picture of the vent. So they either reattached it because they were the ones who installed it or they didn't actually climb up there. But he started going back and forth with us. Hey, I got 3 other quotes and we were going to remove the install. Oh, you can take that out and you can take that out. And by the time I got done, I said, we're going to walk away. We're not in alignment. Our goals and your goals are not in alignment. You want this done as cheap as possible. And, my experience is price wins bids, but it rarely solves problems. So if you go chasing down that price rabbit hole, what are we getting for apples to apples? And usually we're not getting that. And that's where we're doing things like the blower door test where we're measuring the amount of air that leaks out of the home. So not every person is going to be a good fit for us. It's the nature of the beast. We want to fix homes. We don't just want to install things and collect money. Those are parts of the puzzle. We have to install things and collect money, but in order to fix homes, we have to design it properly and install it with a certain improvement in mind that we can actually measure. So.
That way you don't get callbacks.
Yeah.
Hey, what you do, he's not working.
Yeah, we don't want the callbacks. I went to a home this week, and the gentleman said he climbed up into his attic and saw some mold-like substance, or that's what we call it. We don't know it's mold until it's been tested. And I said, how long have you lived there? And he said, 9 years, and I haven't been up there. But when we bought the house, we had there was some mold, and it got remediated. And usually this happens in a real estate transaction, and I can't say that I fault any real estate person, but they go to a mold remediator, and I'm not certified. I probably will someday become certified, but I call it the magic spray paint. Usually they're spray painting kind of a white or a brownish, depending on the company, over the roof deck. I don't know if they clean it first. I don't know. But they tell you, oh, this will stop it. And they don't solve the moisture problem. So mold is created with food and moisture in the right temperature. And if you don't get rid of the moisture, it'll come back. It's just a natural fact of life, similar to the mushrooms in the dark room, right?
Yeah, swatting that housefly. Oh, okay, I fixed my housefly problem.
Yeah. And so that frustrates me, and he noticed that his bath fan wasn't vented, and he sort of had a lot of discolorization. And it's like 9 years ago, if they would have fixed the moisture source, that would have been a long-term solution for him. And it's a tricky home. It's a hip roof, so there's no gables, and that's 2 or 4 foot slope. So up in the attic, people try to vent those, and it's not vented properly, and it's going to be a process. He's going to move forward with us, and we didn't do a blower door at that time, but we'll go back, do the blower door, do the fix, redo the blower door, and we'll be able to concrete show that person, here's what air leakage reduction we have. And he had some ice dams. Now, he's going to have probably a little snow melt because he's got some skylights and some awkward spots. But we're going to be able to dramatically improve it. And I think a lot of companies probably would have walked on this job because it's sort of a difficult design, and it's, anybody can go throw stuff up there, and who's ever going to look in their attic? It's funny, the terminology when we say attics. Many people we call up, we go, we're going to need to enter your attic, and they say, well, I don't have an attic. Okay, do you have a little hatch in a ceiling? And they'll say, oh, I have a crawl space. And it's like, okay, we have a terminology issue in the industry because I guess it's called that because you crawl. So do you have a crawl attic? So we call the crawl spaces underneath the home where you crawl under there. But for us, anything is any space between the ceiling of your living space and the roof is typically a space that we would call that an attic. And the only time you wouldn't have that is maybe on a cathedral ceiling where the roof and the ceiling are in the same space. So attics are big. Most people don't climb in them. We're usually the first person who's climbed in them, aside from the electrician or the pest remediator that goes in the home. But those areas, we want to climb in there. We want to do it right. And so what we find is people get it done. They're upgraded, and they're told, "Hey, it was done right," and no one ever goes back up there. And then the flaw is slow. So the moisture, mold, or the ice dams only show up in the heart of winter, and so they don't really know it was done wrong. There's not a plethora of experts around there that can tell them, "Well, this is done wrong. Here's the science on it. Here's the testing on it." And so we're sort of like a unicorn. I don't know how many people remember the old Munsters, but sometimes I feel like we're the Maryland of the home performance industry. We look out of place to everybody else, and we hear that a lot with sizing of equipment. We lose bids because they tell us the other two people have a different size furnace. And we had one recently. We were gonna install a bigger one because she was demanding it. And I told my rep, just plead with her to let us do what we do best. And at the last minute, she let us do the size we wanted. And I'm so thankful because I didn't want to install it because it's not going to help. She had a Cape Cod. That's going to actually make the second floor worse. The more oversized you have it. And really sizing, going back to that independent service operators where they're producing electricity, that's what you're doing. You're sizing and matching the load to the need. You think about it in meals. If you have a lunch and you want a light lunch, you only needed a few calories, and maybe you wanted a heartier breakfast and you have more calories. And you're matching the load to the need. And that's one of the things we want to do with the HVAC system.
So I take it now that the Cape Cod lady took your advice, we have a story with a happy ending where you don't get callbacks and they're comfortable in their home because they picked up the phone and they called
585-270-5836.
See what I did there?
I like that.
The Wise Home Energy Show here, by the way, on WYSL, WLEA. The very informed and erudite voice of Jeff Flaherty telling us war stories and just not shooting the breeze here, but valuable information in there for you. If you're thinking, I don't know, maybe the furnace needs to be bigger. I don't know, maybe we need new windows. I don't know, maybe we need more insulation. All the usual concerns that come up, and you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, one of the things that we struggle with on competitors is I had a lady call yesterday. I got a new furnace and I got all new windows, and my home is still cold. And so I look up the home, and she went through a program. And I said, well, it looks like your home's at Cape Cod. And she said, yes. And I said, well, if this program, did they do anything upstairs? And she said, no, they don't do anything. They said the program doesn't do anything upstairs with the, I don't know if she said insulation or paneling. So it's true. If you get a Cape Cod with paneling or something that is hard to insulate, it might not be a good idea to insulate, but don't say the program won't do it, because then you're giving the person false information. What you can say is the budget won't handle it. If you'd like to add to the budget, there might be some modifications. But just to swap out the furnace and do the basement rim joists, almost guaranteed it's the wrong size furnace, right? And I asked this lady, how did you find these people? And she said they door knocked my house. And
boy!
And I knew, I know of a company that does some door knocking, and I didn't know they were over in the Rochester area. And and that's not to say that door knocking, there's anything wrong with that, but the sizing of equipment is still done probably, I would guess, 70% wrong still to this day. Most of the stuff, we go to a home, 20-year-old home, we just say it's 95% chance it's the wrong size furnace. And
usually meaning too big.
Too big is really the problem. No one ever makes them too small. And what happens with it is the size of the furnace and the air conditioner is not based off the square footage of the home. And it's not based off of the unit that's in there. That was designed by somebody who didn't know what they were doing. It's based off of the energy loss, the heat loss of the home, which is done by insulation, marking down all the insulation levels, marking down the windows, and then, in a perfect world, a blower door test to measure the leakage. And then it goes into a calculator to derive what the size should be. So if your HVAC contractor doesn't climb into your attic or check your insulation levels, how could they possibly know what size equipment they have? They're just using an estimated guess, and it's generally not that good. It's based off of what is sitting in your basement. So that's the type of stuff that we really enjoy, because when we go and fix those homes and properly size the equipment, it makes for a quieter system. It makes for a more evenly running system, which provides even temperatures throughout the home. And then you get better energy usage, because the problem with a high efficiency furnace is there's the thought process that a high efficient furnace is going to save you money. Well, go get a canoe and put 150 Merc on the back of it, and it's just not going to ride real well. In fact, it might sink. So it's just not matched up to the home, and those are the skill set and the design skills that we bring to the table. And you don't have to do everything at once, but we want to educate people on what their home is doing currently, and how we can, get them on a path, if they want to stay there, to make that much more efficient and more comfortable. And the system works. One of the challenges we have is we offer the no-cost energy assessment, and the state has made that more complicated as we go. And sometimes people want that, and it's just to find out what's wrong. And I sort of don't even need to go out to the home to find out what's wrong. You could take a few pictures, and I could tell you all that. And recently we had a person get online and write us a negative review because we didn't turn around and get the report back to them in time. And I think our rep goofed up, but to go and write a negative review for something you never paid for, that probably lost us money. It sort of has been a little shock to me, saying, well, maybe we got to screen a little better, because literally I can do this remotely. I can get your energy bill. I can look at your house, and short of doing a blower door test, if you give me certain pictures, I can tell you how to fix your home. But to go out and send somebody out to do 2 or 3 hours, then to bring them back and do the paperwork for 2 or 3 hours, and have the state pay us, $2 or $250 is kind of a loss. So we advertise that no cost assessment. But what happens is the opportunity cost of life is now, if we're just doing somebody who wants the energy audit, we've removed our skill from somebody who wants to fix their house.
Right.
And that's a better use of our time, especially when I can do this remotely.
Makes you wonder, why would somebody just want the audit? It's kind of like meaningless information.
Yeah, we advertise it, and the state advertises it. You can get the free energy assessment.
But there would be a reason why you'd want it.
You'd think you'd want to fix something.
You're not comfortable in your home, like you say.
Yeah. So usually we're giving them a list of things. We want to see what they want to fix. So high energy bills, people say high energy bills. Well, bills have been going up, and the state says with their data you can save 10 to 40%. We know we can save more if we do a real robust job on a home that is built of Swiss cheese and has an oil boiler. So we know we can do more than that, but that's what the state says, and then we have the rates keep going up. So think of what the next 10 years are going. If anybody believes that the rates are going to go down, I would bet them that the opposite is going to happen. They're going to go up. So we're still doing the assessments, and we advertise it, but we don't want you to take advantage of our knowledge. You can take advantage of our knowledge by reviewing our website or our YouTube channel or listening to this show, because there's lots of tidbits of how to properly improve your home and make it more comfortable. So, yeah, I don't want to dissuade people from calling us, but we'd like to fix homes. That's the fun thing we do. We get called, just like from the lady who just got the new furnace and the new windows. We can go diagnose that for her. I hate to go in and say, your furnace is oversized and it's a year old, but that's, some can say that's my opinion. You know how science is. We all say it's proven, but I guess the proof is on the coldest day of the year. If your equipment isn't running 80-90% of the hour, then it's generally oversized. If you're
falling over when you open the energy bill every month,
Exactly.
Not a good sign.
So, but yeah, we still offer all these incentives. The time is now to call. Winter's coming soon, and we get booked out quite a bit for installs and for HVAC and for insulation. So the time is now if you're really looking to fix a problem from last year. We really have a discussion with you about what you're looking to fix. We can talk some rough budgets over the phone. If it's not in your wheelhouse, that's fine too. But at least we can give you some rough ideas. Come out to the home, do the assessment, and let you know how we'd fix it. And we can show you case studies of really something just like your home that we've done. We fixed it, and the clients are happy, and they're going online writing the reviews that they're happy.
So just for clarity, you do also install equipment.
We do.
You're not just a diagnostic company.
Right, we do. And that's some of the challenges. I always get nervous. We provide that proposal after the assessment, and they think it's a work specification, and they go shop it, and then someone tweaks it and doesn't air seal it. We're really... we've got it down to a science. Pardon the building science pun, but yeah. Well,
that's good to know. So tell them who you are and how they get in touch with you.
It's Wise Home Energy. It's 585-270-5836, or you can hit us on the web at wisehomeenergy.com.
Jeff Flaherty, thanks so much for another informative show. And you've been listening to the Wise Home Energy Show here on the WYSL, WLEA stations. Thanks for listening. Get the podcast at WYSL1040.com.